Hi, welcome to a special edition of Stories in the Bible with your host, Evangelist Lance Alves. By the way, I'm going to tell a story about the time I was in Fiji. It was crazy. And all disclaimer, this is my story right after this. So here we are in Fiji. There's two big islands, and we load up onto this ferry boat, and we're going to go from one island to the next. We're with a team of people, and this ferry is not like an ocean liner that's like luxury with its own rooms. No, it's economy, not economy plus, but economy. And so I get to my chair. And by the way, on this ferry, you can load a couple vehicles, put a couple pallets of product, and be able to get to the other side. I get to my chair, I click in my seat belt, and we are ready to go. So the ferry literally gets moving, and we had heard this is going to be 11 hours to be able to get from one island to the next. Did I mention 11 hours? So here we are, and we start to get going. Well, it was all peaceful and calm, but as the further we go, it starts getting extra stormy. And so basically what happens is the captain gets on the radio and says, "Excuse me, but prepare yourself because we're facing 30-foot swells." So here we are in the middle of Cucamonga land. I have no idea where I am. We got 30-foot swells coming. I'm stuffed in this sardine of a ferry. And by the way, the capacity was like double and even possibly triple the capacity for the seats. So I look at the sign on the wall and the amount of people, and I look around 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's way more than can fit in the seats. In fact, people start staring at me like a crow, eyes on their prey. And here I am, and just minding my own business. Everybody's staring at me, hoping that I'll maybe get up, right? Well, 30-foot swells start going, and I remember I didn't take any medication to be able to help with this sickness type of thing, right? And all of a sudden, just minding my own business, going on this little river raft ferry boat ride, and then I start to feel sick. And I'm thinking, oh man, what am I gonna do? And I start looking around, and everybody's staring at me as though like they know I'm next. Well, what happens is I'm trying to keep my manners to myself and just mind my own business, but all of a sudden this sickness starts creeping up, and I'm thinking, oh man, what am I gonna do? I start plotting my chart, the GPS coordinates of how I'm going to make a quick escape. And so here I go, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, I'm going to go up this way. And then all of a sudden it comes up in my mouth, and I'm thinking, if I just squeeze my lips hard enough, it'll stay in. But boy, was I wrong. It starts creeping up, and I'm thinking I'm about to explode. And so I'm so sick, I'm about to like vomit on who knows who. So I literally jump out of my seat, not caring, like knowing that somebody's going to just jump in my seat and like have a place to sit. And so, and I'm not even going to be able to get my chair back. So I run up to the front, and I hang a hard left. There's two double doors. I use both hands, and I push open both doors like, here comes the bride. And I basically see on the poop deck there's this railing for the side of the ship, and I lean over and I start to hear a noise, and it was not for me. I look upwind. I'm downwind, mind you, and literally I could hear this vomit noise. At first I thought it was myself, but it wasn't. In fact, this person vomits and it completely is all over my body. Now I'm soaking in somebody else's vomit. And I'm thinking, oh man, what am I gonna do? Like, this is disgusting. And I just barfaronies on the side of the ship, right? So anyway, mind you, the 30-foot swells is still going. It's like crazy. I got somebody else's vomit. I just puked on the side of the boat, and I think you even got some on the handrails. It was absolutely disgusting. So I'm still not feeling good, right? So I start just thinking, well, you know what? I'm just going to stick out around here since I smell like somebody else's puke. And I just start walking along the side of the ship. And what happens, all of a sudden, one of the big waves comes over the side of the ship and completely gets me wet. And I'm soaking wet now, both with puke and water from the ocean, just miserable as can be. And I'm thinking at this point, it's like thinking, man, it can't get any worse than this. And all of a sudden, a second wave comes, and basically I'm now double wet. I got vomit on me, and I'm feeling completely sick, miserable as can be. And I'm starting to look at this ocean, like these massive waves, and I'm thinking, Lord, are you trying to tell me something? Am I supposed to jump over the side of the boat? And here I am thinking, man, maybe I'm like the modern day Jonah. I need to just jump over. I look and I'm thinking, nobody else even knows I'm out here. Even if I was to jump, there ain't no like life raft to be like thrown out. I'm going to be like either plummeted under the ship ferry, or I'm going to be left stranded as could be. Needless to say, things were not going my way. So here I am, and I'm just like completely miserable, completely wet, completely stinky. And so I'm thinking, oh man, and I'm literally at this point ready to just jump in the water. I'm thinking, God, are you trying to tell me something? You want me to go somewhere else? And there's just this point that comes in my mind where I'm like, at this point, I'm ready to do anything to like escape this situation, even if that means not make it. So I'm about ready to jump in, and I'm thinking, wait a second, what if I jump in and that's not what God was trying to tell me, and I'm supposed to be on the boat? I'm thinking, oh man, what am I going to do? I have no idea. I'm not hearing nothing from the Lord. So I'm thinking, after a while, like, time is going by, right? We still got like 10 hours to go on this 11-hour boat ride. And so basically I thinking, what am I going to do next? And all of a sudden I head for the restroom, and there's this line inside. They see me come in and they're like, dude, this is disgusting. This guy smells. He's wet. They have no idea what just happened on the side of the boat, that I literally almost died. And so basically I wait my turn. I come to the toilet where they have the little cubicle, and I open the door, and I didn't even wipe the seat, nothing. I just put my chin and my cheek right on the toilet. And for the rest of the night, me and the toilet were just hugging, close as can be. And so what happens then is like I'm just puking all through the night. It's absolutely disgusting. In between my throw ups and puking in the toilet, I'm falling asleep. So there's like puke on the side of my mouth. I'm just like a war zone in toilet number 2. And so then what happens is, it's like pretty soon time goes by and people say, hey, where's Lance? It's time to go. And we are about to get off the boat here. I'm war zone here. And some of the guys on this crazy missions trip in the middle of Fiji ocean, and I start taking off my shirt and I start bathing completely naked in front of everybody out of this little sink with a little bar soap, and just try to get the smell off me because I'm completely miserable. Well, basically, I tell you that to say is that there are some crazy things that happen in life, and you know, you and I will face these situations just like this. And so it reminds me of the story of Jonah, and how Jonah is literally on this boat and he's running from the presence of the Lord. In Jonah chapter 1, he runs, God tells him to go somewhere, he runs, he ends up taking a first ticket to Tarshish, first class, and gets on there, and he's thinking he's like good, but all of a sudden there ends up being a storm, and people start going crazy. There's these massive swells, and he's like seeing people literally toss over their luggage and their suitcases overboard. All their stuff is being thrown over. Why Jonah sees what's happening, it's like it doesn't even faze him. He ends up going down into the lower deck. He sees them throwing stuff off. He makes his way into the lower deck and falls asleep. All of a sudden, people wake him up and they say, "Jonah, it's time to wake up." He gets up and they say, everybody's calling on their gods, and so we need you to call on your God too, because something is not right. This is like storm of all storms. It's not normal. Did I mention? It's not normal. Anyway, what happens next is Jonah's there. They start playing bingo and patty cake, and ends up that the lots fall on Jonah. They look at Jonah, whoosh, and they say, "Excuse me, what's going on, Jonah?" So Jonah is having to now explain that he ran from the presence of the Lord, and that it's his fault that they're all in this, and they lost their suitcases of clothing and food and all that stuff, and now it's his fault. Well, they start thinking about it, and they ask him, they said, "What should we do?" He says, "Oh, it's simple, just throw me overboard." So he ends up telling them that, and they're thinking, "We can't do that. Like, if we threw this guy overboard, God will kill us." So they start paddling even harder, thinking, "Man, let's see if we can make our way out of the storm." They cannot make their way out of the storm. And so here they are, and they come back to Jonah, and now it's D-Day. And they basically come to him in that moment when they're going to throw him in. And I started thinking, why didn't the guy jump in himself? Why he have to wait for them to throw him in? He's literally I'm not sure if it's a passive aggressive or just passive whatever, but here he is, just literally, he's just kind of, well, whatever happens, and now he's being thrown over the boat. And so they get ready to throw him over, and that's when I start to think about it as I'm reading the story. You see that even in the situation and the challenge that he was facing, that, believe it or not, Jonah still had faith. He had faith in who God is and who his father was, that even though taking the plunge of faith is a faith risk, God was going to either save him or let him die. And so at this point, we see the submission of Jonah, even though he didn't know what would happen next. And Psalms 48 verse 14, it says something like this, says, "For this is God, our God forever and ever. He will be our guide even to death." And so maybe there is a faith risk up ahead for you. And it's you're either going to sink or swim, and it's a plunge of faith, but your circumstances and path of life is leading you here. That, my friends, is how our Father in heaven works. In fact, in Hebrews 11:6 it says, "But without faith it is impossible to please him, for he who comes to God must believe that he is, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him." The Bible also says in Hebrews chapter 10 verse 38, now the just shall live by faith, but if anyone draws back, my soul has no pleasure in him. When you trust in him, he will act. The Bible then says in Psalms 37:5, commit your way to the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. So here's the thing. You might find yourself in a war zone and you're thinking, how am I going to make this work? What am I going to do? What decisions am I going to take? Listen, my friends, you're going to have to commit your way to the Lord. You're going to have faith in God, even though you don't know what's going to happen. You're going to have to take that step, that a plunge of faith, and not knowing what's going to happen next, but knowing that it's your God in heaven, it's your Father in heaven who's going to work it out for your good. May the Lord bless you. This is Evangelist Lance Alves with a special edition of Stories in the Bible. Until next time.